Okay. Welcome. This is Music as a Revelation, and I'm Gregory Muna. Today's April 4th. Today is our edition for April 4th, 2025. And today I'm going to be commemorating the anniversary of the death of my first teacher of contemplative art, meditation, and Dharma art, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, who was born March 5th, 1939 in Tibet, and who died April 4th, 1987, aged only 48, and largely due to his very stressful life and the trauma associated with the Chinese Communist annexation of Tibet, his forced emigration and exile, and his ultimate eventual relocation in the West, first to India, then to England, and then to North America. And he lived for many years in Boulder, Colorado, and ultimately settled in Canada, Halifax, Nova Scotia. And I only got to know him towards the very end of his life, and I was very young. I was in high school. But the brief period that I had to study his teachings and to study, in his presence was very transformative for me, because he was not just a Tibetan Buddhist teacher of a lineage. He really was an artist. He was a very fine poet, and he had a circle of poets who were close to him, some of whom became my other teachers, like Allen Ginsberg, and other teachers at his school, the Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado, which I attended, inspired by his example and wanting to continue. And while there are many, many great Buddhist teachers, which he was, but what was very distinctive about his teaching was his concern for artistic practice. And as far as he was concerned, that artistic practice and meditation practice are the same. So my worldview is formed directly by his teaching, that meditation practice is artistic practice is meditation practice. There's no separation between the two at all. And as I said, his primary artistic practice was poetics. He was also a talented calligrapher. He did painting. So he was also a visual artist. And I try to keep that sense of calligraphy in the oscilloscopes. I don't claim to be any kind of visual artist whatsoever, especially since I don't work by hand the way a real visual artist does. I work by hand on music, and he was not a musician. He talked about sound and the sacredness of sound and the sacredness of listening and sound, but he was not a musician, and to the extent that he had any musical practice, it was in the traditional, Tibetan Buddhist chanting. So thoughts that I have about sonic attention, meditation, and sound, those are my own, based upon his teachings, which are mostly about visual Dharma, like this, as you see one of his calligraphies and that. Okay. So this will be a series of talks on the theme of Dharma art, in tribute to my teachers, and especially in tribute to Trungpa Rinpoche. And I think today I'm going to start with just to get a sense of the overview of one of his great visionary poems, which has a strong visual sense, but also which has a strong sense of sound. So this is a way of combining meditation and imagery, visualization, and sound, which is also what we're focusing on with these oscilloscope visualizations of my compositions, which we've been talking about. And this is part one. As this multi-part series continues, we want to integrate this idea of Dharma art with this nexus of what we've previously been talking about, Kunstreligion, right, the German term for sort of the 19th century culture of sacralized art, and art as a serious, meditative, contemplative practice of self-development, as opposed to merely a kind of entertainment. So, I will begin with a reading of Trungpa Rinpoche's Sadhana of Mahamudra in honor of his life and work, and we'll take it from there. And when there are pauses in this, then these are moments to breathe, meditate, to maintain posture. So wherever you are right now, just check in with your posture. Make sure that you're sitting up straight in your chair. Don't lean against the back of the chair. Sit up straight. As long as you're physically capable, try to put a little arch in your lower back so that your spine is aligned and straight up. Relax the rest of the body. Allow your arms to drop naturally to your sides, to your legs. Release any sort of tension from the facial or the neck muscles. Have a sense of elongation, so there's no compression of the spinal vertebra. You can sort of visualize an imaginary string connecting your head to the sky, in the sense that everything is uplifted and there's no compression and no pain. And relax, especially around the mouth, around the eyes. Allow the eyes to just sort of, go down in a relaxed field in front of you. Breathe normally, breathe naturally, and have the mouth slightly open, normal in-breath and out-breath, to get a good mixture of breathing from the mouth and the nose. You might want to just keep your tongue more towards the top of the palate so that there's a good full oxygenation. And okay, so natural breathing, natural state. When thoughts arise, please minimize distractions. At this time, please deactivate any other sorts of screens. Let's just sort of focus on this. And this is sort of approximately a half an hour to 40 minutes of a single guided meditation. And then when we're done with that, we can talk about our experience of that and relate it to our practice of music, to the music that we're listening to in the background, the oscilloscope, and with our own musical practice that we may add to that. Okay, so the sadhana of Mahamudra, which quells the mighty warring of the three lords of materialism and brings realization of the ocean of siddhas of the practice lineage. This is the darkest hour of the dark ages. Disease, famine, and warfare are raging like the fierce north wind. The Buddha's teaching has waned in strength. The various schools of the Sangha are fighting amongst themselves with sectarian bitterness. And although the Buddha's teachings was perfectly expounded, and there have been many reliable teachings since then from other great gurus, yet they pursue intellectual speculations. The sacred mantra has strayed into Bun, and the yogis of Tantra are losing the insight of meditation. They spend their whole time going through villages and performing little ceremonies for material gain. On the whole, no one acts according to the highest code of discipline, meditation, and wisdom. The jewel-like teaching of insight is fading day by day. The Buddha's teaching is used merely for political purposes and to draw people together socially. As a result, the blessings of spiritual energy are being lost. Even those with great devotion are beginning to lose heart. If the Buddhas of the 3 times and the great teachers were to comment, they would surely express their disappointment. So, to enable individuals to ask for their help and to renew spiritual strength, I have written this sadhana for the embodiment of all the siddhas. This sadhana is in 3 parts. First, let the mind remain uncontaminated by the 8 worldly concerns. You must relax and stay in a quiet place with a good atmosphere to rest the mind on the great self-existing mandala of apparent phenomena and to take refuge. Namo, earth, water, fire, and all the elements, the animate and the inanimate, the trees and the greenery, and so on, all partake of the nature of self-existing equanimity, which is quite simply what the great wrathful one is. In the spontaneous wisdom of the Trikaya, I take refuge with body, speech, and mind. In order to free those who suffer at the hands of the 3 lords of materialism and are afraid of external phenomena, which are their own projections, I take this vow in meditation. Namo, earth, water, fire, and all the elements, the animate and the inanimate, the trees and the greenery, and so on, all partake of the nature of self-existing equanimity, which is quite simply what the great wrathful one is. In the spontaneous wisdom of the Trikaya, I take refuge with body, speech, and mind, in order to free those who suffer at the hands of the 3 lords of materialism and are afraid of external phenomena, which are their own projections. I take this vow in meditation. Namo, earth, water, fire, and all the elements, the animate and the inanimate, the trees and the greenery, and so on, all partake of the nature of self-existing equanimity, which is quite simply what the great wrathful one is. In the spontaneous wisdom of the Trikaya, I take refuge with body, speech, and mind, in order to free those who suffer at the hands of the 3 lords of materialism and are afraid of external phenomena, which are their own projections. I take this vow in meditation. Meditate in that great simplicity, which is beyond conceptions, and see through the complexities of duality, in which apparent phenomena and the self are imagined to be separate. The undercurrent of thoughts, with all their pettiness and doubt and fear, all these must be overcome with that great assurance and fearless certainty which is the transcendental element of the voice of Manjushri, Mikyo Dorje. So rouse that insight. Be decisive. Know what is. See clearly. These are the three kinds of confidence. The spontaneous Mahamudra mandala is now created from the wisdom of the fourth Abhisheka. This will be clarified by the following words. Hum, hum, hum. In the boundless space of suchness, in the play of the great light, all the miracles of sight, sound, and mind are the five wisdoms and the five Buddhas. This is the mandala, which is never arranged, but is always complete. It is the great bliss, primeval and all-pervading. Hum! It is boundless equanimity, which has never changed. It is unified into a single circle beyond confusion. In its basic character, there is no longer any trace of ignorance nor of understanding. Nothing whatever, but everything arises from it. Yet it reveals the spontaneous play of the mandala. Hum, hum, hum. My whole being is Dorje Trollo, and my form is Karma Pakshi. My speech is Mikyo Dorje, and my mind is Rangjung Dorje. With that unwavering conviction, fearlessly enjoy the Mahamudra and attain the experience of Maha-Ati. Hum, hum, hum. In the state of non-meditation, all phenomena subside in that great graveyard in which lie buried the complexities of samsara and nirvana. This is the universal ground of everything. It is the basis of freedom and also the basis of confusion. Within it, the Vajra anger, the flame of death, burns fiercely and consumes the fabric of dualistic thoughts. The black river of death, the Vajra passion, turbulent with massive waves, destroys the raft of conceptualization to the roaring sound of the immeasurable void. The great poisonous wind of the Vajra ignorance blows with all-pervading energy like an autumn storm and sweeps away all thoughts of possessiveness and self like a pile of dust. Whatever you see partakes of the nature of that wisdom which transcends past, present, and future. From here came the Buddhas of the past. Here live the Buddhas of the present. This is the primeval ground from which the Buddhas of the future will come. This is the heavenly realm of the Dakinis, the secret charnel ground of the blazing mountain. But you won't find ordinary earth and rocks here, even if you look for them. All the mountains are Buddha Lochana, who is the all-pervading wisdom of equanimity and unchanging stillness. This is the realm in which the distinctions between meditation and the post-meditation experience no longer occur. In this fearless state, even if the Buddhas of the 3 times rise against you, you will remain in the indestructible Vajra nature. The water which flows here is the Buddha Mamaki, who is the lake of the mirror-like wisdom, clear and pure, as though the sky had melted. Here is the joyous river, which is the transcendent form of the 8 kinds of consciousness. It flows into the great purity which goes beyond clean and unclean. In the various parts of the charnel ground can be seen the terrifying trees which are the protecting Mahakalis. Rangjung Gyalmo, Dorje Subdrukma, Susoma, and Ekajati. In these trees, vultures, ravens, hawks, and eagles perch, hungry for meat and thirsting for blood. They represent the concept of good and evil. Until you stop clinging to this concept, the Mahakalis will continue to manifest as friendly goddesses and harmful demons. Various animals roam about: tigers, leopards, bears, jackals, and dogs, all howling and jumping up and down excitedly. These represent the different kinds of perception. Here, too, are the chotans of the awakened state of mind, where the great yogis live. They represent the supernormal powers which need not be sought. In the middle of this heavenly realm is a huge rock mountain which arose from the corpse of the Rudra of ego. It is triangular in shape, and it pierces the skies. It is dignified and awe-inspiring, and radiates the blue light of Vajra Sattva. On top of this mountain is the red triangle, which can accommodate all apparent phenomena and the whole of existence. This is the primeval ground where the question of samsara and nirvana does not arise. It is the beginning and the end of everything. The triangle radiates the blazing red light of inner warmth and compassion. Above the triangle is a beautiful flower, 100-petaled lotus in full bloom, exuding a delicate scent. It is the lotus of discriminating wisdom. Here is the moon of great bliss and skillful means. And here is the sun of wisdom and shunyata. Hum! The sonorous voice of silence is heard. From it appears the rainbow body of wisdom. This is the personification of the body, speech, and mind of all the Buddhas. He is the self-born teacher, the Lord of the Herukas, Padma Totrang, the Lama whose power extends over all apparent phenomena and the whole of existence. He is Karma Pakshi, in whom are unified the unchanging mind of the Guru, the wisdom of the Yidam, beyond waxing and waning, and the protectors, the confused thoughts which have returned to nakedness. He is dark red in color, symbolizing the oneness of everything within compassion. He is inseparable from peacefulness, and yet he acts whenever action is required. He subdues what needs to be subdued. He destroys what needs to be destroyed. And he cares for whatever needs his care. His anger, devoid of hatred, is as fierce and terrible as if the three worlds were on fire. His presence is overwhelming. His 3 eyes of wisdom are bloodshot and stare in all directions. They radiate light, outshining the sun and moon. His expression is wrathful, and he bites the lower lip. He has a black, triangular beard, shiny and twisted into a point, emitting sparks of fire. In his right hand, raised to the heavens, he holds a 9-pointed dorje of meteoric iron, emitting a storm of red sparks, each in the form of the letter Hum. Thus he subdues spiritual pride. In his left hand he holds a purba, also of meteoric iron, emitting a shower of sparks in the form of thousands of Mahakalas. The purba pierces through the heart of seductive passion. He wears the 3 robes of a bhikshu, signifying the accomplishment of discipline, meditation, and wisdom. He is the originator and master of all Buddha activity. Hence he wears the black crown, bright with gold and blazing with unceasing light, emitting a steady stream of discs of light in 5 different colors, which are the 5 Buddhas. He stands on a dakini in the form of a pregnant tigress, with his right leg bent and left leg extended in the Haruka posture. Even the thought of him will destroy a mountain of conceptualizations. The sight of him dries up the ocean of dualistic clingings. He is immersed in flames which radiate the intense heat of compassion. In his forehead center is the unchanging form of Vairochana, who is Tusum Khyempa, the Dharma Raja of the 3 worlds, clad in bhikshu robes, with his hands in the meditation posture, holding a dorje. He has white hair and a thin, dark face. His expression is wise and peaceful. He wears the black crown ornamented with a gold Dharma chakra, which sends out rays of light. He is seated cross-legged on the back of an elephant. In the throat center of Karma Pakshi is Mikyo Dorje, the Lord of Speech, the unceasing voice of Amitabha. He is of orange color. He wears a tiger skin around his waist and a shawl of human skin around his shoulders. He wears ornaments of bone and jewels. In his raised right hand he holds the sword of wisdom, which cuts off the root of the universal unconscious. In his left hand, level with his heart, he holds the vessel which contains the treasure of the Dharma. His face radiates friendliness. One glimpse of it suffices to open the door of confidence. The thought of him awakens memory. As the Lord of the Padma family, he wears the black crown, ornamented with a golden lotus radiating the red light of Amitabha. He is seated on a white lion. In the heart center of the great wrathful one is the king of the Tathagatas, Rangjung Dorje, the Vajra Sattva nature of never-ending awareness. He is blue in color, with serene and friendly face expressing the state which transcends the boundary between meditation and non-meditation. By a glimpse of his face, the wisdom of the mind transmission is established in one's heart. His 3 eyes gaze into fathomless space. He has achieved the highest state of simplicity, and is therefore seen naked, seated cross-legged, with hands in the meditation posture, holding a skull cup filled with Amrita. He is the King of Kings and possessor of the indestructible Vajra Abhisheka, and therefore wears the black crown, bright with gold and ornamented with the Vajra. The blue light of Samantabhadra, the all-good, shines from the crown in the primordial state in which neither liberation nor confusion has ever arisen. Around Karma Pakshi is a great host of the Buddhas and the Sangha, together with the utterance of the Dharma, fills the sky. They are surrounded by the Dharmapalas and Dakinis. The sound of hum and ah and pat shakes the sky. It is though all the musical instruments of the universe were being played simultaneously. Whatever you see is the form of Karma Pakshi run wild. Whatever you hear is the voice of Karma Pakshi let loose. Whatever you think is the thought of Karma Pakshi unleashed. In the spontaneously existing state where meditation is effortless, all movements are the Vajra dance, and all sound is the Vajra music. It is the great Guru Mandala. In this way, rest the mind in the Mahamudra of devotion with great trust and single-mindedness. One's mind should be free from pettiness and doubt. Here follows the supplication. O Karmapa, Lord and knower of the three times, O Padmakara, Father and protector of all beings, you transcend all coming and going. Understanding this, I call upon you. Give thought to your only Son. I am a credulous and helpless animal who has been fooled by the mirage of duality. I have been fool enough to think that I possess my own projections. So now you, my Father, are my only refuge. You alone can grasp the Buddha state. The glorious copper-colored mountain is within my heart. Is not this pure and all-pervading naked mind your dwelling place? Although I live in the slime and muck of the dark age, I still aspire to see it. Although I stumble in the thick black fog of materialism, I still aspire to see it. The joy of spontaneous awareness, which is with me all the time, is not this your smiling face? O Karma Padmakara, although I live in the slime and muck of the dark age, I still aspire to see it. Although I stumble in the thick black fog of materialism, I still aspire to see it. At glorious Taksang, in the cave which can accommodate everything, samsara and nirvana both, the heretics and bandits of hope and fear are subdued, and all experiences are transformed into crazy wisdom. Is not this your doing, O Dorje Trollo? Although I live in the slime and muck of the dark age, I still aspire to see your face. Although I stumble in the thick black fog of materialism, I still aspire to see your face. The corpse, bloated with the 8 worldly concerns, is cut into pieces by the knife of detachment and served up as the feast of the great bliss. Is not this your doing, O Karma Pakshi? Although I live in the slime and muck of the dark age, I still aspire to see your face. Although I stumble in the thick black fog of materialism, I still aspire to see your face. In the boundless space of non-meditation, he who performs the great dance of Mahamudra puts a stop to thoughts so that all acts become the acts of the Guru. Is not this your doing, O Tusum Khenpa? Although I live in the slime and muck of the dark age, I still aspire to see your face. Although I stumble in the thick black fog of materialism, I still aspire to see your face. When the current of thoughts is self-liberated and the essence of Dharma is known, everything is understood, and apparent phenomena are all the books one needs. Is not this your doing, omniscient Mikyo Dorje? Although I live in the slime and muck of the dark age, I still aspire to see your face. Although I stumble in the thick black fog of materialism, I still aspire to see your face. The kingdom of no Dharma, free from concepts, is discovered within the heart. Here, there is no hierarchy of different stages, and the mind returns to its naked state. Is not this your doing, O Rangchung Dorje? Although I live in the slime and muck of the dark age, I still aspire to see your face. Although I stumble in the thick black fog of materialism, I still aspire to see your face. The Father, Guru, the embodiment of all the siddhas, is all-seeing and all-pervading. Wherever you look, his transparent body is there, and the power of his blessing can never be diminished. Although I live in the slime and muck of the dark age, I still aspire to see his face. Although I stumble in the thick black fog of materialism, I still aspire to see his face. Living, as I do, in the dark age, I am calling upon you because I am trapped in this prison without refuge or protector. The age of the three poisons has dawned, and the three lords of materialism have seized power. This is the time of hell on earth. Sadness is always with us, and unceasing depression fills our minds. The search for an external protector has met with no success. The idea of a deity as an external being has deceived us, led us astray. Counting on friends has brought nothing but sorrow and insecurity. So now I have no other refuge but you, Karmapakshi, the lotus-born. Think of us poor, miserable wretches. With deep devotion and intense longing, I supplicate you. The time has come for you to arouse yourself and do something. The tradition of meditation is waning, and intellectual arguments predominate. We are drunk with spiritual pride and seduced by passion. The Dharma is used for personal gain, and the river of materialism has burst its banks. The materialistic outlook dominates everywhere, and the mind is intoxicated with worldly concerns. Under such circumstances, how can you abandon us? The time has come when your son needs you. No material offering will please you, so the only offering I can make is to follow your example. Chant the following as a celebration of identification with the Guru. When the wild and wrathful Father approaches, the external world is seen to be transparent and unreal. The reasoning mind no longer clings and grasps. It is wonderful to arrive in your domain, in the pure land of the blazing mountain, where every experience is full of joy. Hey, ho, the happy yogi! Every movement of the mind becomes bliss and emptiness. All polarity disappears when the mind emerges into nakedness. This is the mandala in which the six senses are self-liberated. On seeing your face, I am overjoyed. Now pain and pleasure alike have become ornaments, which it is pleasant to wear. The experience of joy becomes devotion, and I am drunk with all-pervading blessings. This is a sign of the merging of mind and Guru. The whole of existence is freed and becomes the Guru. When such blessings descend, your son's depression is entirely liberated into blissfulness. Thank you, great Karmapa. Thank you, Father Padmakara. There is no separation between teacher and disciple. Father and Son are one in the realm of thought. Grant your blessing so that my mind may be one with the Dharma. Grant your blessing so that Dharma may progress along the path. Grant your blessing so that the path may clarify confusion. Grant your blessing so that confusion may dawn as wisdom. Grant your blessing so that my mind may be one with the Dharma. Grant your blessing so that Dharma may progress along the path. Grant your blessing so that the path may clarify confusion. Grant your blessing so that confusion may dawn as wisdom. Grant your blessing so that my mind may be one with the Dharma. Grant your blessing so that Dharma may progress along the path. Grant your blessing so that the path may clarify confusion. Grant your blessing so that confusion may dawn as wisdom. Grant your blessing so that my mind may be one with the Dharma. Grant your blessing so that Dharma may progress along the path. Grant your blessing so that the path may clarify confusion. Grant your blessing so that confusion may dawn as wisdom. Grant your blessing so that my mind may be one with the Dharma. Grant your blessing so that Dharma may progress along the path. Grant your blessing so that the path may clarify confusion. Grant your blessing so that confusion may dawn as wisdom. Grant your blessing so that my mind may be one with the Dharma. Grant your blessing so that Dharma may progress along the path. Grant your blessing so that the path may clarify confusion. Grant your blessing so that confusion may dawn as wisdom. Grant your blessing so that my mind may be one with the Dharma. Grant your blessing so that Dharma may progress along the path. Grant your blessing so that the path may clarify confusion. Grant your blessing so that confusion may dawn as wisdom. Repeat these 4 dharmas of Gampopa again and again. One should try to give birth to the devotion of Mahamudra by having complete trust in the Guru. When the sense of devotion becomes very strong, then, especially, one should realize that the Guru is not external. That is to say, when a flash memory of the Guru arises, the mind becomes relaxed, loose, and opened out. Or, when you relax in meditation, inseparable from the memory of the Guru, the right atmosphere is created and the mind becomes clear and naked. Sometimes, in order to make desires and attachments part of the path, you may perform the following offering. To the crazy wisdom form of the Buddhas of the 3 times, the unified mandala of all the siddhas, Dorje Trollo Karma Pakshi, I make this supplication. Desire, hatred, and other hindrances are self-liberated. To the boundless rainbow body of wisdom, Padmakara Karma Pakshi, the Haruka who, untouched by concepts, pervades all existence, I make this supplication. Whatever is seen with the eyes is vividly unreal in emptiness, yet there is still form. This is the true image of Tuzum Khyentse, whom now I supplicate. Whatever is heard with the ears is the echo of emptiness, yet real. It is the clear and distinct utterance of Mikyo Dorje, whom now I supplicate. Good and bad, happy and sad, all thoughts vanish into emptiness, like the imprint of a bird in the sky. This is the vivid mind of Rangchung Dorje, whom now I supplicate. The animate and the inanimate are the mandala of the glorious Mahasiddha, which no one can change. It always remains impressive and colorful. This mandala now I supplicate. The hope of attaining Buddhahood and the fear of continuing to wander in samsara, doubt that wisdom exists within one, and other dualistic thoughts. All these are my feast offering. Food, wealth, companionship, fame, and sensual attachments, all these I offer for the elaborate arrangement of the mandala. Wantingness, desire, and passion I offer as the great ocean of blood which comes from the killing of samsara. Thoughts of anger and hatred I offer as the amrita which intoxicates extreme beliefs and renders them inoperative. All that arises within, wandering thoughts, carelessness, and all that is subject to ignorance, I offer as the great mountain of Torma ornamented with the 8 kinds of consciousness. Whatever arises is merely the play of the mind. All this I offer, filling the whole universe. I offer knowing that giver and receiver are one. I offer without expecting anything in return and without hope of gaining merit. I make these offerings with transcendental generosity in the Mahamudra. Now that I have made these offerings, please grant your blessings so that my mind may be one with the Dharma. Grant your blessings so that Dharma may progress along the path. Grant your blessings so that the path may clarify confusion. Grant your blessings so that confusion may dawn as wisdom. Next comes the special supplication and taking of Abhisheka. This is composed by Guru Rinpoche himself. Hum, hum, hum. In the cave of Taksang Sengye Samtrup, he who has subdued the evil forces and buried treasure in rocks and snow mountains in holy places of Tibet shows kindness to the future people of the future dark age. I supplicate you, Dorje Trollo. I supplicate you, Ujjain Padmakara. The following 4 lines were composed by Karma Pakshi. Hum, hum, hum. You are the Lord of Yidams and conqueror of the whole of existence and all apparent phenomena. You have subdued the viciousness of the Mongol emperor and overcome the energy of fire, water, poison, weapons, and evil forces. I supplicate you, O Karma Pakshi. The next 4 lines were written by Sharmapa. Hum, hum, hum. You who fulfill all wishes and are Lord of centerless space, you who shine with kind and luminous light, I supplicate you, Tsupurpa. The next 4 lines were written by Mikyo Dorje himself. Hum, hum, hum. Ah, Mikyo Dorje fills the whole of space. Ho! He is the Vajra joy which sends out luminous light. Hum! He is the energy of music and Lord of messengers. Om! He is the wrathful action which cleanses all impurities. The next 4 lines were written by an unknown author. Seeing the Bodhisattva Rangchung Dorje is like discovering the wish-fulfilling gem. He removes the poverty of oneself and others. He is the source of all that is needed. I supplicate his wisdom body. The next 6 lines were composed by Guru Rinpoche. Whatever occurs in the realm of the mind, such as thoughts of the 5 poisons, one should neither lead nor follow. Just let it remain in its true state and reach the liberation of Dharmakaya. I supplicate the Guru of self-liberated perfect insight. Chant the triple hum as mantra over and over again. Then, by uniting your mind with the thoughts of the ocean of siddhas, their overwhelming presence and blessings are felt in great joy and emptiness. The visualization becomes just a mixture of colors. The dazzling rays of the 5 wisdoms are bright red, deep green, clear blue, pure yellow, and bright white. They are not static, but oscillating all the time, and they fill the whole of heaven and earth. They are so bright that they are hard to look at. At the same time, you can see a rain of Amrita and many colored flowers, and you lose the clear-cut concept of here and there and become dizzy. Now you become the Lord of the Trikaya realm and receive the simple and ultimate Abhisheka. You become one with the body, speech, and mind of the siddhas. Hum, 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 hum. Next, recite the following verse, composed by Mikyo Dorje. Hum, hum, hum. When the precious Guru approaches, the whole of space is filled with rainbow light. He sends out his emanations as messengers, and a roaring flame of blessing shoots into the sky. Various meditation experiences and flashes of insight occur. Oh, the great Guru, I follow your example. Please approach and grant your blessings. Bless this place. Give us the 4 Abhishekas and clear all obstacles. Grant us the ultimate and relative cities. Hum, hum, hum. Next, follow the verses of the Great Leap into the Void of panoramic awareness. Hum, hum, hum. In the mandala of Mahamudra shines moonlight, pure and all-pervading. All apparent phenomena are the play of the mind. All qualities are complete within the mind. I, the yogi, am fearless and free from occupations, hopes and fears of achieving and abstaining are all used up. I awaken into the wisdom with which I was born, and compassionate energy arises without pretense. Hey ho, the self-existing rishi, the siddha enjoys himself with great simplicity. Ah, ah, ah. End by chanting these auspicious verses. The wisdom flame sends out a brilliant light. May the goodness of Dorje Trollo be present. Karma Pakshi, Lord of Mantra, King of Insight, may his goodness too be present. Tsusamkyempa, the primeval Buddha, beyond all partiality, may his goodness be present. Mikyo Dorje, Lord of boundless speech, may his goodness be present here. Rangchung Dorje, faultless single eye of wisdom, may his goodness be present. The Kagyu Guru, the light of whose wisdom is a torch for all beings, may his goodness be present. The ocean of wish-fulfilling yidams who accomplish all actions, may their goodness be present. The protectors who plant firm the victorious banner of Dharma, may their goodness be present. May the goodness of the great mind mandala of Mahamudra be present. After practicing this sadhana, enjoy the presence of the Guru and the energy of compassion and devotion. It is hoped that this sadhana will be practiced by those who are prepared to see the living Dharma within. The sadhana will help to purify the present degenerate state of philosophy and meditation practice. It will help to bring peace in the warfare waged by materialism. In the copper mountain cave of Taksang, the mandala created by the Guru, Padma's blessing entered my heart. I am the happy young man from Tibet. I see the dawn of Mahamudra and awaken into true devotion. The Guru's smiling face is ever present. On the pregnant Takini tigress takes place the crazy wisdom dance of Karma Pakshi Padmakara, uttering the sacred sound of Hum. His flow of thunder energy is impressive. The Dorje and Purba are the weapons of self-liberation. With penetrating accuracy they pierce through the hearts of spiritual pride. One's faults are so skillfully exposed that no mask can hide the ego, and one can no longer conceal the anti-dharma which pretends to be dharma. Through all my lives may I continue to be the messenger of dharma and listen to the song of the king of yanas. May I lead the life of a bodhisattva. The sadhana was written in 1968 by Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche at Taksang in Bhutan, where about 1100 years ago Guru Rinpoche meditated and manifested the wrathful form known as Dorje Trollo. The sadhana was completed on the auspicious full moon day of September 6, 1968. It was translated into English at Thimphu by Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche and Kunkadawa, September 7th, 1968. And I'll just read a short description of what we just visualized and read together so that we can connect it to our sense of Dharma art, of visual Dharma, and sonic Dharma of meditation, and one-pointed non-dual awareness of our sense perceptions. So these are some comments, joining energy and space, comments on the sadhana of Mahamudra. So what we're doing is joining energy and space. And so these are a little commentary on what we just read and practiced together. This is a very confused world, a corrupt world at many levels. I'm not particularly talking about Orient versus Occident, but about the world in general. Materialism and the technological outlook no longer come from the West alone. They are universal. The Japanese make the best cameras, Indians make atomic bombs, so we can talk in terms of materialism and spirituality in the world at large. We need to look into how we can overcome spiritual materialism, not just brushing it off as an undesirable but inevitable consequence of modern life. How can we actually work with the tendencies towards spiritual and psychological materialism in the world today so that we can transmute them into livable, workable, enlightened basic sanity? I wrote the Sadhana of Mahamudra, a tantric liturgy in Bhutan, in 1968 in Tibetan, and then it was translated into English. My situation at that time was unusual in that I was in a position to see both the English and the Bhutanese cultures together, which was seeing the West and the East together as well. I have been in the United Kingdom for about 5 years, and I had experienced that world fully. When I returned to Asia, Bhutan in this case, I rediscovered characteristics that were quite familiar to me from my earlier life in Tibet. At the same time, the contrast between East and West was very powerful. I asked the Queen of Bhutan, who was my hostess, whether I could do a short routine at Taksang Retreat Center at the site of the cave with the great Indian teacher Padmasambhava, who brought Buddhism to Tibet, meditated and manifested in his crazy wisdom form, which is called Dorje Trollo. Being at Taksang was not particularly impressive at the beginning. In fact, the first few days were rather disappointing. What is this place, I wondered? Maybe this is the wrong place. Maybe there's another Taksang somewhere else, the real Taksang. As I spent more time there, however, I realized that the place had a very powerful nature. Once you began to click into the atmosphere there, I had a feeling of profound, empty heart. The influence of the Kagyu tradition, the practice lineage, was very strong there. At the same time, there was a feeling of Taksang of austerity and pride and the wildness from the Nyingma tradition. When I started to feel that, this sadhana came through without any problems. I felt the presence of Dorje Trollo from the Nyingma tradition combined with Karma Pakshi from the Kagyu lineage. At first, I told myself, you must be joking. Nothing is happening. But still, there was immense energy and power. The first line of the sadhana came into my head about 5 days before I wrote the sadhana itself. It kept coming back into my mind with a ringing sound. Earth, water, fire, and all the elements. Finally, I decided to write that passage down, and once I started writing, it took me about 5 hours to compose the whole thing. The basic vision of the sadhana is based on two main principles, space and energy. Space here refers to Maha-ati or Dzogchen, the highest level of Buddhist Tantra in the Nyingma tradition. The energy principle, or Mahamudra, is also a high level of experience in the Kagyu tradition. The sadhana of Mahamudra strives to bring space and energy together, and through that, to bring about understanding and realization in the world. Even the wording of the sadhana, how each sentence is structured, is based on trying to bring together the Mahamudra language with the Ati language in a harmonious way. Underlying both Mahamudra and Maha-ati is the practice of surrendering, renunciation, and devotion. You have to surrender. You actually have to develop devotion. Without that, you can't experience the real teachings. However, in the Buddhist tradition, devotion is not admiring somebody else because he or she has great talent and therefore would be a good person to put on your list of heroes. Ordinarily, we may admire people purely because they seem to be better at something than we are. We think we should worship all the great football players or great presidents or great spiritual teachers. That approach in this case is starting out on the wrong footing. Real devotion or dedication comes from personal experience and connection. The closest analogy to devotion that I can think of would be the way you feel about your lover, who may not be a great musician or a great football player or a great singer. He may not even be all that great at keeping his domestic life together, but there is something about the person, even though he doesn't fit any of the usual categories of heroes. He's just a good person, a lovable person who has some powerful qualities in himself. Love seems to be the closest analogy. At the same time, with real devotion, there is something more to it than that. As we said, the object of devotion, the Guru, is not so much an object of admiration, not a Superman. You don't expect everything to be perfect. You simply realize that a love affair is taking place, not the level of hero worship or even at the wife or husband level. Something else is taking place at ground level, a very fundamental level that involves relating with your mind and your whole being. That something else is difficult to describe, yet that something has immense clarity and power. Another aspect of the sadhana is crazy wisdom, which is an unusual term. How can craziness and wisdom exist together? The expression crazy wisdom is not correct. In fact, it's purely a linguistic convention. Wisdom comes first, and craziness comes afterwards, so wisdom crazy would be more accurate. Wisdom is an all-pervasive, all-encompassing vision or perspective. It is powerful, clear, and precise. You have no bias at all, so you are able to see things as they are without any question. Out of that, the craziness develops, which is not paying attention to all the little wars, the little resistances that might be created by the world of reference points, the world of duality. That is craziness. Wisdom crazy involves a sense of tremendous control, vision, and relaxation occurring simultaneously in your mind. The lineage of the sadhana of Mahamudra is the two traditions of immense crazy wisdom and immense dedication and devotion put together. The Kagyu or Mahamudra tradition is the devotion lineage. The Nyingma or Atra tradition is the lineage of crazy wisdom. The sadhana brings these two traditions together as a prototype of how emotion and wisdom, energy and space can work together. The Tibetan master Chogyam Kongtrul the Great first brought these two traditions together about 200 years ago. He developed a deep understanding of both the Ati and Mahamudra principles and became a lineage holder in both traditions. He developed what is called the Rime school, which literally means unbiased. Joining Mahamudra Maha-Ati is like making tea. You boil water and you add a pinch of tea leaves. The two together make a good cup of tea. It makes a beautiful blend, an ideal situation. Quite possibly, it's the best thing that has happened to Tibetan Buddhism. It's a magnificent display of total sanity, of basic enlightenment. It displays the ruggedness and openness, the expansiveness and craziness of both traditions together. My personal teacher, Jamgon Kongtrul of Sechen, was the embodiment of both traditions, and he handed down the teachings to me. The language used in the sadhana reflects both the highest level of devotion and the highest level of wisdom combined. Karmapakshi, who was the main figure of the sadhana, was one of the Karmapas, the head of the Kagyu lineage. He was also a crazy wisdom teacher within his lineage. In the sadhana of Mahamudra, he is regarded as the same as Padmasambhava, who was the founder of the Nyingma lineage, the oldest Buddhist lineage in Tibet. It was Padmasambhava, also called Padmakara, who introduced the Buddhist teachings to Tibet and was also a tantric master. My purpose in writing the sadhana was to build a bridge between their two contemplative traditions. The sadhana is composed of various sections. At the beginning is taking refuge, committing yourself to the Buddhist teachings and taking the bodhisattva vow to help others. The first section also creates an atmosphere of self-realization or basic potentiality, which is an ongoing theme in the sadhana. In tantric language, it is called Vajra pride. Your basic existence, your basic makeup is part of enlightened being. You are already enlightened, so you need only recognize and understand that. The next part of the sadhana is the creation of the mandala, or the world, of Karmapakshi and Padmasambhava, who are embodied together. Several of the other great teachers of the Kagyu lineage are included in this visualization. Next is the supplication section, which describes our own condition, which is wretched and miserable. We are surrounded by a thick black fog of materialism, and we are bogged down in the slime and muck of the dark age. It's like the description of an urban slum. There is so much pollution, dirtiness, and greasiness, not only in cities but throughout the country. The slime and muck of the Dark Age also has a metaphysical meaning. It has the connotation of an overwhelming environment that we are unable to control. We sense the world's hostility and aggression, as well as its passion. Everything is beginning to eat us up. The thick, black fog of materialism refers to the basic or fundamental problems with that environment. The next passage is about our disillusionment with that world of spiritual materialism. It reads, "The search for an external protector has met with no success. The idea of a deity, of an external being, has deceived us, led us astray. There are all kinds of spiritual materialism, but theism seems to be the heart of spiritual materialism. In the sadhana, we are trying to reintroduce the style of the early Buddhists, the purity of Buddhism when first came into Tibet. We are trying to turn back history, to purify ourselves, to reform Buddhism. Theistic beliefs have been seeping into Buddhist mentality, which should be non-theistic, and this has been a source of corruption and other problems. There has been so much worship and admiration of deities that people can't experience the awakened state of mind. They can't experience their own sanity properly. In fact, I wrote the Sadhana of Mahamudra because such problems exist both within and outside of the Buddhist tradition. Indeed, the spiritual scene all over the world is going through that kind of corruption. The whole world is into fabricating its spiritual mommies and daddies. So the purpose of the supplication is to awaken people from such trips. At that point, inner experience can arise. The last theme is the idea of merging one's mind with the Guru's mind. It's not that the Guru is a deity and you bring into your heart with whom you become one. It's not like artificial insemination. It's very personal and spontaneous. You are what you are, and you realize that your own inspiration exists in the teacher's intelligence and clarity. With that encouragement, you begin to wake up. You begin to associate yourself completely with the Dharma. You identify completely with the Dharma. You become one with the Dharma. As it says in the sadhana, grant your blessings so that my mind may be one with the Dharma. You no longer depend on any external agent to save you from your misery. You can do it yourself. That is just basic Buddhism. It could be called the Tantric approach, but it's just basic Buddhism. I think we'll draw a line here and continue in our next episode. I think you should go online, download the PDF text of the Sadhana of Mahamudra, and think about the imagery and the sounds and how those relate to our own experience of imagery and sound, and what I'm trying to do with sound and image in these videos. And this is really all due to the kindness and generosity of the great teacher Chogyam Trungpa, who died on this day, April 4th, in 1987, at the age of 48, in Halifax, Nova Scotia, in Canada, after a very difficult life, a life of trauma and sacrifice. It was very difficult for him to move out of his culture, out of his language, in exile, and there were a lot of bumps along the road. And it took a toll on his life and of many of those around him. Nevertheless, he had a life-changing impact upon me as a teacher of awareness and as a teacher of poetics and of bringing poetics and awareness together, and as a champion of Dharma art, as a champion of the idea that artistic practice and meditation, spiritual practice, are not separate. They are the same. When we practice awareness, when we practice spirituality fully, we are creating art. And when we are creating art fully, we are developing our spiritual awareness, whether the world wants to believe it or not. So I'll continue. We'll talk about how this relates to music and visualization of musical sounds at the end, and in next episodes. Tomorrow also commemorates the passing of my second great music and poetics teacher, the great Allen Ginsberg. So I will try to continue this discussion forward and connect it to my studies and friendship with the great Allen Ginsberg, and how that relates to my own musical poetics. Okay. So, love to you all. Bye-bye.